Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for entertainment purpose only. Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders that took place on the 13th of November 2022. It's been a while now, a year and 3 months. The case hasn't even gone to trial, and Brian Koberger has been charged for this awful quadruple murders. Today I'd like to discuss about the elephants in the room. I say that lightly. That is the surviving 2 roommates, DM and BF. The picture that I just showed y'all was Dylan with a large knife. I should have said trigger warning, so I do apologize. I'm usually careful with what I show, but this time there's a reason I'm showing that. Because the 2 surviving roommates are clearly important in this case, especially Bethany Funk, because she has exculpatory evidence, allegedly. It could be a tactic that the defense attorney is using just to prolong this whole thing, the whole trial, and the whole case. But it could be possible that she does have exculpatory evidence, which I personally do believe that she has some kind of evidence, both of these surviving roommates. Let's go back to the previous timeline. The previous timeline said that these awful quadruple murders took place between 3 to 4 a.m. We heard his mother saying that my son, or basically 2 a.m. is the most hardest time for our family. That means, I would assume, that is when, unfortunately, Ethan lost his life. And possibly Zana too. I believe somewhere between 2 to 2:20 a.m. is when something happened to Ethan. I remember a couple of months ago when I mentioned the fact that this could be 2 separate crimes with separate targets. I remember this was maybe back in April, May. I got a lot of heat. Many people were discussing forth and back, and some people get upset if you do not agree with their thoughts and opinion. But we can agree to disagree. The reason I always said I believe that it's 2 separate targets is because, let's not forget, these 4 victims were in two separate locations the whole of the night. Let's start with 10:20 at night. That is when Kaylee and Maddie ordered the private share ride to drive them from their house to the corner club. That's 10:20. And it's the same driver that drove the girls back home that drove them. And if you want to confirm that, you can go and check Olivia Congalvis or Congalves is interview, because she clearly states that the private driver drove the girls both the rides to the corner club and back from the grub truck. So that clearly shows Kaylee and Maddie were in the corner club all night. And then they went to the grub shop grub truck, and then they came home. We don't even know if they made their way home. Something could have actually happened to them outside the house. But we'll move on. What happened to Z, no X, and Xana is important too in the Sigma Chi, because Eaton, Xana, Bethany Funk, I don't know about Dylan yet, were all in the Sigma Chi fraternity party. So let me break this up. Let's start with the couple. From the beginning of this case, I've always been interested in the couple, more than the other two. The reason is, to start with, I always start my clips by saying, I really apologize. I always start my clips by thanking my subscribers. Hello, lovely subscribers. I hope you're having a pleasant Sunday. I really appreciate your kindness, your support, your motivation. You all have just been like a family to me, and I really appreciate that. Although once in a while, like yesterday, I had to literally block some people for their rudeness, and I know those weren't my subscribers. There's always some people that are unhappy in life for whatever reason, that they think it's all right to take it out on other people. Fortunately for me, I'm a mental health counselor, a licensed mental health counselor, so bullying, trolling, hateful comments it would upset me, but it's not going to make me stop getting justice for these 4 precious victims. They deserve the correct justice. I think I'm the only creator who says, may the correct justice be served. And today I forgot to say, may the 4 victims rest in peace. May God Almighty bless them, protect them, hold them in His arms. They're, after all, God's beautiful children. Their lives were taken so brutally at such a short time span of their life. Nobody has the right to unlive anyone. Nobody has the right to harm anyone. And we want the correct justice to be served. So after saying that, let me start with the couple. We know that between 9 to 10 p.m., the couple went to the Sigma Chi fraternity party. They haven't been seen on any social media pictures. Kind of strange for people that age not to have taken pictures, especially in a party. I have 3 children. My daughter's the oldest. She's around 27. She's a teacher. But when it comes to my 2 younger boys, I think that is one of the reasons I'm so involved with this case, that it's literally, I've taken it to heart to try and get justice for these victims. Because my son is 19, my youngest, and my middle son is 22. You can say my 22-year-old son is Kaylee and Maddie's age, and my younger son is just a year and a half younger than the couple. I always think about their families, their parents, their siblings, their loved ones. I can just imagine. It's so heartbreaking to watch them cry on TV. I can imagine what they go through. No Christmas, no birthdays to celebrate with their precious loved one, with their child. Above everything, what is more important than our children? We live for our children. We work so hard for our children, to feed them, raise them, educate them, make them to be decent people in the society. We send our children, our young adults, to universities to get our education, to get to know life, to meet new people, to have good experiences. But when your child has to come back in a coffin, then all heads should turn. When 4 children come back in a coffin, that's nothing to keep quiet about. Somebody needs to answer. If it was a open and shut case that Brian Christopher Koberger did this, we would have let it go. But when there is so much nonsense going on in this case, so much mixed communications, so much wrong messages. At the start, we were told that this was a targeted attack. Then we were told, no, the students weren't the targets, the house was the target. Then the police wonder where conspiracy theories come from. I guess that's how the drugs, the cartels, and all this came into the case. We were told by the Mayor Little, that this was a crime of passion. Conspiracy theories. We run with it. Everyone is on Jack D, because it's a crime of passion. I would have been more on Jack S, because he's been kicked out of fraternities. He's been kicked out of his fraternity, Delta Tau Delt, for sexual harassments. Trigger warning. I should learn to say the trigger warning first. I apologize. But you'll get my drift where I'm going with this. Then it was Mr. William Thompson himself who said no. The house was the target. Then we were told after a couple of weeks, everything was a miscommunication. The house wasn't a target. The students wasn't a target. There was no crime of passion. But they don't know what happened. When we are being given so much different statements in such short period, it is confusing, it's unprofessional, and it's not good for the case. So that's where I believe conspiracy theories come from. Let's go to the Sigma fraternity. The Sigma fraternity know exactly what happened to the couple. They know that we know that what happened to the couple happened under their roof or happened after the couple left, but allegedly there was a fight in the Sigma Chi fraternity. The fight involved David L., David B., and the couple, especially E. There was rumors of E telling David Lodge about his steroids addiction, calling him roids, shrivelly, y'all know what, B-A-L-L-S. Now you can imagine when somebody on steroids is confronted in a party, what do we expect will happen? Now let's not forget, if this person is allegedly, I have to say, if this person, David L., is allegedly on steroids, what is going to happen? David Berry is known to, he has actually a nickname called Schizo. I don't understand why people use those names. It hurts me as a mental health counselor because those are names that are not supposed to be used. Schizophrenia is the right term, and we do not use terms that is more like an insult, a taboo to people who suffer of the mental health illness. Like I used to correct people for the last 3 years. I hate the term psychopath. Psychopath is not a term that should be used lightly. It's not a term that should be used. The right name is antisocial personality disorder. It's a personality disorder. So it's wrong to say psychopath. So David, allegedly with that terrible nickname, had fantasies of unliving people, allegedly. The 4chan article from the anonymous person could be true and could be false. But it explains a lot. I personally believe in the 4chan because guess what? Everything that the 4chan said, we weren't already told what the 4chan put up there already. How would the 4chan anonymous person know that the Sigma fraternity is going to be under the microscope? How did they know about the Wi-Fi connection, that these people would go without their devices so that it doesn't connect to the Wi-Fi? We still do not know who the 4chan article anonymous person is. Obviously, there's a reason people are anonymous. But I personally believe it's someone, not only from the fraternities, it's from the Sigma Chi fraternity. There was even speculations that people were saying, could it be Eaton, his brother? Or could it be a friend of E who put up that article? We would never know. But that article makes sense. These people said that when the lights go off, they would go. They said that 2 would be out on the watch and 2 would be doing the wet job. They were going to do it within 90 minutes. They were not going to take their phones so that the Wi-Fi of Kings Road wouldn't catch them, if that makes sense. Everything they predicted actually happened in that way. Is that a coincidence? I doubt. A coincidence can't be that perfect a coincidence can't be happening the way somebody actually planned it. I doubt that. The people in Sigma fraternity Chi, or Sigma Chi fraternity, already witnessed the fight. The police were called to the Sigma Chi. They took down a report and they left. How come that wasn't mentioned in the police conference? How come that body cam footage hasn't been let out? Is that under the gag order too? I've never seen a case that has been under so much gag orders. That makes me believe that maybe you don't have the right person, or maybe there were other people involved too. I personally do not believe BK did this crime alone, if he did it. If he didn't do it, he didn't do it. It's one of the two. So we had this incident with the police being called to the Sigma Chi fraternity party. Couple of minutes, I guess, later, assume the police or the undercover were at the Banfield alcohol stop. Were they called there? Were they given tips to go there? Or did the undercover just randomly stop these 4 people? That's another question. What happened in the Sigma fraternity party? How ugly did it get? Did it get deadly? Or was it just a fight of 2 young men that was immediately broken up? Is that what Bethany Funk saw? Is that why Brian Christopher Koberg wants Bethany to testify? Because maybe Bethany witnessed the fight. Obviously she was there. And maybe that is when, unfortunately, he passed away, was unlived. It's possible. From day one, I have said Sigma Chi fraternity boys are involved. And I still, the more I watch the clips, I rewatch them over 100 times, the more I'm certain that David L. and his two friends were not there for fun at the grub truck. Pay attention to when David and his friends are standing near the shop window at the grub truck. They're standing behind, and you could clearly see as soon as when the girls entered, right before the girls entered with Jack Showalter, they turned and they faced their backs to the girls. Pay attention to it. I put it in yesterday's clip, I guess, and I put it many times before. Why would you have to hide yourself from someone? Why do you need to turn your back when the people enter? It's because you don't want to be seen. Why don't you want to be seen? It's because you possibly have a beef with the person, you're the enemy, and you don't want them to see because they will freak out and they may even go. Or they may understand that something is not right, something's cooking in the kitchen. David L. turned immediately and he told his friends, you can see, you can't hear, but you can see him saying something to both of them, and they all turned. And when the girls walked in, Jack Showalter stood there, he looked at David L., and they just nodded a bit. Pay attention to that. Let's not forget, Jack Showalter was in fraternities. He knows the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. He lives in Queens Road. The next block, the first block you see, 1 minute away from the girls, he lives there. So when they're talking about a peeping Tom, was the peeping Tom Jack Showalter maybe? You'll have a lot of peeping Toms there, I guess. We have Inan Hush allegedly. We have Jack Showalter living in one of the blocks and Inan living on the other. Inan was spying on the girls for whatever reason. These were much younger girls than him, and he was offering them a half bottle of wine. Then we have another adult man. See, let's start with this. We have college students, and then all of a sudden we have 3 people who don't belong there. 2 people who don't belong there. 3, actually, I'm sorry. We have BK, who's a 28-year-old man, who was 27 at that time. We have Inan Hush, who's an adult man, much older than BK. And we have Joe Vito. Now, what are these 3 adult men doing with students? Inan was a neighbor, and he just said he offered them something. But what I found strange is Inan wouldn't mention his name at all. He would say Xana's boyfriend. He didn't mention Maddie, but he was following Maddie on Instagram. So I've never ruled out Inan. But for me, Inan is not a bother because Inan is on the codes list. So the police ruled him out easily. But who was the 3 unidentified male DNAs who went to the house that day? We saw, what's his name? William Thompson, the prosecutor, being upset when he was asked for the 3 male unidentified DNAs. He had almost a high blood pressure fit. You could see he was like, we don't have it. How are you supposed to get it if we don't have it? I'll have to ask the lab. And if they haven't submitted it to us, so if they don't have it, they don't have it. Excuse me, sir. You took 3 unidentified DNAs. That cannot be lost. That is just like the knife sheet evidence they took of BK. The knife sheet touched DNA, they had it. Why weren't they so occupied with the 3 unidentified male DNAs? Is it because it belongs to the college students? I believe that. It belongs to the college students. Let's not forget, Dylan said she heard some people rummaging upstairs. That is more than 1 person. So did BK come in with some other people? Or was it the Sigma Chi fraternity boys or other fraternity boys, or maybe even sorority girls. Let's put it this way, the Greek lifestyle. The whole of the grub truck looked like a plot. It looked like the girls were on surveillance 24/7, and they were. I'll show you how. They ordered the cab and they went to the corner club. The cab driver knows Adam. He knows everybody in town. He even said he knew Adam. He said that. So if he knows Adam, he knows Jack D. If he knows Jack D, he knows Jack S. Because he was in the corner club too. If he knows Jack S, he probably knows the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. And Jovita and all of them, because this is a small town. And there's not more than 4, I heard, private share ride drivers. He would know a lot. But he said he didn't see much. He said the girls were happy. They spoke about them mac and cheese. They didn't speak about Adam. They didn't speak about anything. He said he dropped them off in front of the house, but he didn't see them go in. Remember that. So if he didn't see them go in, anything could have happened. Were the girls attacked from behind? The reason I say that is why was Maddie's jacket lying in the bushes? When I found the jacket in the bushes, I believe was in April, March. And then y'all started seeing it in other creators' channel. I don't mind creators sharing my stuff, but it's nice. It would be nice if you at least just give credit to where it came from, because all of us on YouTube work hard to get our contents. It's like I would be sitting hours and hours in my free time, the days I have off, my weekends, searching for things, finding for clues, and then the next time I see Bubbly Waters or some other YouTuber just using my stuff without even saying where it came from. And then yesterday I had a rude person example telling me, oh, your quality of your video isn't good. We saw this already on Bubbly Waters. You need to go see it there. I don't need to go see anything there. Bubbly Waters took it from me. I may not be good in, what's it called? In editing things. I may not be good in the technician stuff, but I know I'm good in one thing. I'm good in analyzing all the skills that I have learned in my 4 years of studying mental health are put into use so that we could get justice for the kids. So it's really, I mentioned that actually. I usually don't mention it, but I mentioned that because I got so much heat yesterday. People telling me about my own content that I find and that people like Jeff H puts up and makes it he's the same things like what Joe Vito was watching on his mobile, what was happening with the crowd yelling Zana. All of a sudden somebody else puts it up with better technician and does not even mention where they get it from. And I think that is really, it just shows what kind of a person and what kind of a character you have. It's all right to share. We all are here to get justice for the children. But it's not all right just to use someone's whole content, because that's what these two creators have done to me. Coming back to this case, when I found the jacket in the bushes, I was shocked. I was literally speechless. I was baffled. I was wondering, wait, maybe the police officer is going to take it, check the pockets, and put it in his car. Didn't happen. And that is really sad. That is really sad. So when the girls were dropped home, the driver did not even drop them. He did not make, he dropped them home, but he did not make sure that they went inside. That they opened the door, they literally opened the door and went inside. He said he's done that plenty of time by dropping them in front of the door and just driving off because he knows they're safe. And he had no reason, I guess, to believe that they were unsafe that night, unless he was told by someone else to just drop them in front of the house, now turn back and just go. Let's not forget, the girls started their night from the corner club. The couple started their night from the Sigma Chi fraternity. The couple wasn't seen in any pictures that night, so anything could have happened. Maybe in the Sigma Chi fraternity that they were harmed, or maybe they were harmed in Linda Lane, Taylor Avenue, or inside the house, or in front of the house. There's so many options, but they were harmed. The reason that I say the timelining of the couple had to be before 2:20. You can hear those people at the grub truck yelling, Zana, 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 many times. No Zana, no Zana, Zana, no Zana. Why would they be saying that? Zana ain't there. And they all are watching the mobile device. At that same time, we have Joe Vito there taking out his phone. We have the girl with the Mexican girl with the black leggings or spandex. You can see her over there watching her phone. She and Joe are watching the same pictures. So is Aiden, although you can't see much into his phone. You can see from their faces that they're watching something violent. When I zoom into the pictures, you can see a girl with the black hair on the floor. You can see a boy with black hair on the floor. And I'm not saying allegedly, because you'll need to zoom in and you will see that it's true. I don't understand why the Sigma Chi fraternity boys have not been properly investigated. They should be thoroughly investigated because they did not have a camera or a doorbell camera in the Sigma Chi fraternity boys' house to see who left and who came. If I'm not wrong, I'm sure more than 50 or 30 boys lived there. Isn't it strange that there's no surveilling cameras there outside? What if they get robbed? What if a mass shooter comes in? What if something happens? I find that to be very strange that they don't have doorbells. I'm starting to wonder if many people had doorbells and took it out on purpose because there's going to be crimes happening on the 13th of November. Just my thought. I started my video by showing you all the large knife that Dylan is carrying. I thought about it a lot before showing it. I've shown it once before, I believe. But now I showed it properly because this is important. We have 2 surviving roommates inside the house. Now, the police clearly said a large knife. So did the coroner. Large knife, large objects. What is Dylan carrying? A large knife. So I assume she has access to knives. Jack Showalter has access to K-bar knives. K-bar. We don't know the rest what they have. People in this age, under 25 for some reason, and machetes and knives. I know in the United States there's a lot of guns and all that. Gun violence. You'll have knife violence too, because you'll have a big population. But you'll know by now that UK is the master in machetes, large knives and such things. And when I say that the master's in it, that's not in a positive way at all. That is in a very sad, negative way. because we in UK are suffering with those crimes, and we are so sick, worried every time our children step out. And when we step out, to be caught up in a knife fight or something like that. Because these are 14, 13, 15-year-old boys using knives, and it's disgusting. It raises a lot of questions from our government to the parents of the children, to our school systems, which I think the school systems, the parents, everyone's doing their best, but I don't think these students have many activities. And due to, I take that back actually, the parents put their children in activities. Children are in activities in schools, in colleges, in high schools. But I think this has more to do with social media, what's going around in TikTok, youngsters trying to get clouts, trying to get a status for themselves, trying to impress gangsters. So those are other crimes. But what I'm trying to say is actually 5 days ago, we had some good news in the UK, but it's actually not that good either. They said they're going to ban large knives, not large knives, they're going to ban swords and zombie knives. What about the large knives, like the one Dylan is carrying? What about other pocket serious knives that can cause a lot of destruction and cause fatal wounds? So I don't know. What I'm trying to say is to use such knives, that means you must know how to use it. Now, I'm not saying Dylan knows how to use a knife, but by her carrying that large knife, I would love to know, is it just to show off? Or is she doing this for fun? Why would you have a large knife for fun? I wonder if the police have seen this. I wonder if they've searched for this knife in the house. I've seen Emily, Xana's friend, with a larger knife. 3 times the knife I showed you all, a sword she was carrying. It has a picture of her, and I'm sure you'll have seen Xana was carrying a big watermelon, a heavy watermelon, and she was like half bent and laughing and coming out, and Emily had the sword like that. So we are dealing with youngsters who have access to knives. We are dealing with youngsters who know better than us how to use it, I think. You wouldn't have a large knife unless you intend to use it one day. Or maybe Dylan is just fascinated with knives. Is this the reason Xana asked her father to come down and fix her locks or change her locks? Did Xana feel unsafe because maybe she saw Dylan with a large knife? Or maybe one day Dylan wasn't at home and the room was open, and possibly Xana or Maddie or Kaylee saw something, especially Maddie and Xana. The reason I say that because Kaylee wasn't there for the last week before the quadruples. So could it be possible that Xana and Maddie saw drugs in the house, allegedly, with Dylan? Maybe saw these large knives and they thought, no, this is bad. And they thought of going to the law and enforcement and telling them. Is that possible? And maybe Maddie called Kaylee and told her what was happening, and Kaylee said, Maddie, I'll come, we need to deal with it. The reason I say that is because maybe that's what Maddie told Adam. That Dylan is maybe storing large amounts of drugs in the house, and that she has weapons, she has knives and all that. And for all you know, Adam told someone else. Maybe he was in the plan too. Let's not forget, many of these fraternities are caught with serious amount of drugs that is worth $2 million. in South Carolina, I believe it was in 2021, if not 2022, South or North Carolina, one of them. I put it up in my channel before. I think it was South Carolina that they got busted with ecstasy, amphetamine, cocaine, heroin, name it, marijuana, mushrooms. They was dealing in the whole of the college, of the university. Think about that. And many fraternities and sororities do that. So what makes Mosco different? It's possible, it's happened, it still happens. So if it was a drug deal, if it was drugs being stored, it could have been stored by the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. Because when you think about this, I believe the 4chan article has a lot to do with this. What they said, 3 motives, Maddie, Xana, and Ethan. Think about that. They said they would do this in this way, and then we saw 4 figures running. Look at the 3 boys that were stopped by the police in the alcohol stop. One of them literally had red liquid on his pant, or something that looks like red liquid. And above all, he had the van shoes. Wasn't that part of the affidavit? That a Latin footprint of van shoes was found in front of Dylan's door. I know it could be anyone, but that night, it was only him who was wearing it. From what we could see, I've been checking everyone in the grub truck. I've not seen any Vans. I see a lot of Nikes. I see a lot of Air Force. I see a lot of Air Jordans. I've even seen someone with red liquid on the shoe, and I intend to talk about that soon. What happened at the Sigma Chi fraternity is very important. That will solve most of it. And what happened to the 2 girls, Kayla and Maddie, I believe that could have been about money and drugs, or maybe snitching, telling to law enforcement about what is being done in these areas. Something was going wrong. Something wasn't right. Because you could see everyone was there. Everyone was literally waiting for these girls. The girls were under surveillance, proper surveillance. You see Joe Vito roaming around with the Coca-Cola can. His hands are behind, both his hands. He's holding the Coca-Cola can, and he's giving signals with his thumbs. He did that as soon as the girls walked in. How about that? He spoke on his wrist arm. He did something like that. Can you believe that? Go and watch it properly. I've heard from someone in my comment channel that Joe Vito is an undercover, or that he works at the police. And I've heard from someone yesterday, one of the people in my comment, one of my good subscribers, that they checked in Idaho University of the list of people who work there, and Joe Vito works there. Joe Vito, if you're watching, do you work for the police? Do you work for the college? Do you work for the students? Because I did not like your interview. The more I watch Joe Vito, the more lies I catch. He said he did not know Jack Showalter. He knows all the university students. This man said the fraternities, he said, I was cracking a joke with the fraternity, so you know them. You're cracking more than a joke. He was saying that I was laughing at these girls because they were like zombies. They were intoxicated. They were drunk. That's what he said. And I'm not drunk. Shame on you. If you're working in a school, is that the mindfulness and the professionalism you carry? These are your students if you work in the school. Or these are your community people. You said you have a daughter. Maddie is someone's daughter. Kaylee is someone's daughter. Xana is someone's daughter. E is someone's son. So how dare do you disrespect young girls and talk about them in that manner? even if they were intoxicated, the smart thing to do is at least try and make sure they get home safely. You were in the corner club. If you work in the college, you should be sued or arrested for letting the bartender serve these girls. What were these people doing that day? They were literally getting these two young girls drunk that they could barely walk to the grub truck. Everyone was having a laugh on their behalf, and that hurts me. That is why I'm not giving up on this case. Not anytime soon. I can see most of the YouTubers have moved to other cases, which is the right thing to do, because this case doesn't look like it's going to go to court till 2025. I have to work on other cases too, but Idaho, Mosco, quadruple murders is my number one case, and is always going to be my number one case, because I want these students to get the correct justice. And I'll be the first YouTuber to say, I've always said, I want Brian Christopher Koberger to get the fair justice. Because if he did this, I wouldn't say he deserves the death penalty, because that is a ethical subject. It has about ethics to do. This has to do about religion and people's beliefs. That is up to the families and the government to make the decision. But if this young man was framed, he deserves his justice. It is shocking and baffling that the defense attorney has said, and it's true, others should have been corrected by the prosecutor, that there is no connections between the victims and Brian Christopher Koberger. There is no connections between the 4 victims and Brian Christopher Koberger. There was no blood evidence or any evidence found of Brian Christopher Koberger or of the victims on him when he left that house. Let's not forget. Imagine if Brian Christopher Koberger, they're saying allegedly did this, he did everything so perfectly, but he forgot the knife sheath. And he made sure that there wouldn't be any blood in the scene. He couldn't have washed his car so thoroughly because, number one, when the forensics do their search in the car and put their lights and all the equipments and all the nice toys on, it's going to show blood in his car. So I've heard a certain YouTube creator saying 2 days ago, oh, he could have put a plastic first and then he could put his clothes in a plastic, then he put the plastic there and then he made sure he did this and then he could have done that. No. We wouldn't know what he would have done because maybe he didn't do it. So it's not good to sit here and speculate. And then it's fair to ask, isn't that what you're doing? No. I wouldn't say I'm speculating. I'm saying what is in front of us. The grub truck video is a piece of evidence. The grub truck video is a piece of evidence. The Banfield video is a piece of evidence. You see 4 figures running. You see these 3 boys walking away from the police when they were being told to stop. All these are evidence. The corner club is the biggest evidence, and I wish we had a candid camera, a secret camera. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in the corner club. I would have loved to listen to what they're talking about, because I believe the plan started from there. I believe they pre-planned this from the beginning, but they confirmed their plan, because I don't believe the plan was supposed to be done that day. I believe the fraternity fight made it worse. That just triggered David Skitzer and David Lodge, allegedly, and the Sigma Chi fraternity boys. I even heard, allegedly, that there were two, I don't know if it's the two Davids, one was a David definitely, that went to the ER in Idaho, Moscow, because they had cuts in their hands, large cuts. And they had to get, what's it called, medical treatment for that. So if that's true, say something. It says a lot. So to summarize this, I really believe that whatever happened in the Sigma Chi fraternity party, this is not the first party that someone or some people have been found dead. We know about Hudson Lindo, who was found in Paradise Creek. There was another young man who was found in Paradise Creek in 2013, but Hudson was found recently. It was in 2022, I believe April. He died of hypothermia. Wonder who led him there. Then you have Dylan's boyfriend, Quinn Kelly. Where was he that night? He was allegedly seen in front of the house, and he was driving not a white car, a light car that could beige, cream, white. Although he sent JLR some pictures, a snapshot saying I was in Boise, I personally don't believe him. And I don't believe Dylan. I'm entitled to my choices. And the reason I don't believe Dylan and Bethany Funk is because of Chief Fry. Chief Fry, if you hear me, you are the one who said in the first two press conference when Fox News Digital asked you, so were the surviving roommates injured? You said no. Were the surviving roommates there? He said yes. So are the surviving roommates witness? You said, I didn't say they were witness. They were just there. So, sir, you did not believe the stories, I personally believe, of the two surviving roommates, or one of the surviving roommates. That's why you said, I didn't say they were witness. Why else would you say, I didn't say they were witness? I would love to know that. Dylan was sleeping in the first floor. That's what you said, Chief, right? The timeline was between 3 to 4. All of a sudden, when BK is busted or caught or arrested, the whole timelines change. And guess what? All of a sudden, the surviving roommates that you yourself said were not witness are all of a sudden witness. All of a sudden, Dylan saw a man with bushy eyebrows. All of a sudden, Dylan opened her door 3 times. She heard a dog bark. She heard Kaylee playing with a dog. Then she heard somebody saying, I think there's somebody here. If I heard that, I would have locked my room, called 911. I would say, I'm scared to open my door. But I heard my roommate saying, there's someone here. And then I would have called 911 back again and said, guess what? Now I hear my roommate is whimpering. I would have literally gone under my bed and whispered and called them. If not, take a cupboard or take something big, close it on your door, jam it on your door. And as soon as he leaves, call 911. But no, Dylan was busy texting BF. So Dylan, if you're watching this, why are you carrying a large knife? Where was the knife that day? Because apparently large knives was used in this crime. So we know that you took a picture with a large knife. Well, the only thing I can think of is unless the surviving roommates were threatened by the frat boys or whoever did this horrific quadruple murders not to say a word. But at times when I hear people saying this could be about drugs, I really don't believe it, but I believe it could be about drugs for one reason: follow the money. There has to be a bigger motive for 4 young students to be killed that way. But I still believe this was more about the Greek lifestyle. This was more about the students. This was more about the frat boys and the fight that happened that E called David L. a roid's head could have led someone on steroids to have lost the plot. Because he's thinking of his image. He's hiding to people that he uses steroids. I'm sure there are girls in the party that he's trying to impress. This is really sad. I would really like to see the Chapins talk more. But it's strange that they're not talking. They had no see or say when the house was going down. In fact, they had a see and say. They said it's for the right reasons. It's about time. I'd love to see Maddie's mother talking. She's never spoke. And the fact that Kaylee's parents' mother said that Kaylee was found in the sitting position, and I showed you all the pictures Saeed was watching in the battlefield. You can clearly see Kaylee was sitting in the sitting position. Those are the pictures, those are the findings I'm talking about. That when after I found it, even true crime designers used it. Bubbly Waters, many of these YouTube creators are using my stuff without even giving credit to where they found it. Because true crime design, that's not right. You made a whole clip of the battlefield exactly of what I spoke about. You showed the pictures of what Saeed was watching. So did Jeff H. of Bubbly Waters. And I don't mean to complain, but this really upsets me because this is wrong. This is really wrong. You shouldn't do that. We are adults here. We all are working hard. And I could have easily given them a copyright strike. Bubbly Waters, if you hear me, stop using my content. Because it's not good, and I don't want to go to the stage. We have to fill a form with YouTube, because if YouTube checks it, you'll immediately get a copyright strike. They will see the date and the timeline that I uploaded all this. It's all right to talk about the same subject I've spoken about, because these things don't belong to me. We're all here to help. But when you use my contents, when you explain what I've explained, and you use my pictures, then we have an issue. And that's why YouTube has put up the rights to copyright strike. I don't want to be using that, so let's be adults here. My subscribers, viewers, besides that and the complaining, I'm sorry, but this I had to say because I had to block a couple of people yesterday who are being rude, telling me that Bubbly Waters put it up before and Jeff H put it up before. And I told them, go check the timelines of who put it up when. These people are using my work a couple of weeks later. And imagine when you make some work and somebody tells you, oh, the work you made, but that person made it better with better digital equipment. That's not the point. Let them make it. Just mention where you got it from. It doesn't kill. It doesn't hurt. And that's the right thing to do. It's about principles, ethic, and morals. You don't do that. I love Tommy Jude. Tommy Jude, you know I love you. Because Tommy Jude is one of my best creators. There's no person with a better heart than that man. I really mean it. He loves to put up everyone's clips. He loves to give people a chance. He's the most unselfish person I've met. He's the most kind-hearted person I've met. because he's always helping people. And I learn a lot from his subscribers, which are my subscribers too, most of them. I learn a lot from him. I love his mods, very decent people, and I love Sarge. I love Sarge's way of thinking. Anyway, guys, I hope you'll have a pleasant Sunday. I hope you'll have a fantastic week forward. And I hope that this case comes to a correct justice. The 4 students deserve that. Their families deserve that. BK deserves that. If he's guilty, punish him. If he's not, let him go. What did O.J. Simpson's lawyer, Johnny Cochran, say? May God bless his soul. He said, if you don't fit, you better quit. So, if the knife sheet doesn't fit, it should be a quit. Let it go. Let it go. If touched DNA is all you'll have, get more. Get more, because there are more people involved. I want to see the 3 unidentified DNAs. And I want to know why Xana changed the locks. I've been speaking about this since day 1, about Xana changing her locks and what could be the reason from a very long time, because I believe Xana was unsafe. She must have seen something. And let's not forget, Xana shares the same floor with no other than DM, the woman with the large knife. The girl with the large knife. And last but not least, the latest update is something I've been always waiting for. Mr. Brian Christopher Koberger, his defense attorneys, and his team have put in a request for a change of avenue. Yes, yes, yes. That makes me smile. About time. Brian Christopher Koberger is not going to get a correct justice. He would never get it in Later County and those areas. Most of the people know the case. In fact, the prosecutor, William Thompson, I was just reading, kind of disagreed with it and said, we don't need to change the venue, the court venue, or the court, venue, because of one thing. He said, some people have gone to Mexico and people have asked them about the Mosco case. So it doesn't make a difference. Yes, it makes a difference, prosecutor. It makes a difference. It makes a big difference. Because everyone in Mosco, Idaho has heard of the case. And many people in Moscow, Idaho are involved in the case. I don't mean Moscow, Idaho, sorry. Many people in your fraternities that you went to, Sigma Chi fraternity, are involved. They were rummaging up on the 3rd floor. You know they left 3 unidentified male DNAs. And if the case is the way it is now, any jury, any set of jury, I believe there'll be 1 or 2 with saying that that they do not agree and that they need to see more. This is going to end up in a mistrial. It may end up like the way Brian Christopher Koberger said, he's going to be exonerated, although that's not the right time. He's supposed to be the right term he's supposed to be using in law, apparently. He's supposed to be saying, they're going to find me not guilty. But for whatever reason he used it, it doesn't matter. If he's innocent, he's innocent. But I still believe, now if I end up by telling my personal thoughts, let me tell you actually this is a bit interesting. And I've thought of it for over a year. And then I started, obviously as a human being, the more you go into the case, the more you start kneeling on one side more than the other, and then maybe after a couple of weeks you look more into something. But I've always had this thought in my mind. Do y'all remember T. Revis channel? Do y'all remember the guy who called in Dave? Before Brian Christopher Koberger got arrested. Many people said that that's not Brian. I believe that could be Brian. There's a very good chance that it's Brian. But even if it wasn't Brian, I really believe that if Brian Christopher Koberger was involved, I really believe what Dave said. He was asked by the fraternities, how do I get away with a murder or murders? And how would you have done it as a criminology student? And maybe they even offered him to be the hitman. That is possible. So either he wanted to snitch on them when he called, or either he was involved and he's trying to get the blame off him. But I do believe the Dave version sounds very right. I've always thought of that, because what would bring somebody who's studying their PhD the last semester from Washington to here? Doesn't make sense. What would bring them? What is the connection for Brian Christopher Koberger to have got to know some fraternities in Moscow? There is actually a possibility, but I don't know how much. But it makes sense that they asked a criminologist PhD student about how to get away with murder. That could be possible. But I don't believe if Brian's involved, he did it alone. Or maybe he didn't even do it. But I believe he's involved somehow or the other. Because I do trust what the FBI have. We still don't know what they have, because everything's in a gag order. But out of what is out there in the public domain, I do not believe everything I hear. What I'm hearing is different to what I'm seeing. How about that? What I'm seeing in the grub truck, what I'm seeing around is not the same. I see many guilty people. This was a teamwork. This wasn't one person who did it. Because if Brian did it, then why all these people, like David L., the guy with the little clothes? I showed y'all the guy with the black shorts and the sleeveless t-shirt. He's got bruises on his face. I'm sorry, but I had to smile when somebody wrote in my comment channel that it is not bruises, it's tattoos. No, it's not tattoos. Nobody gets bruises, tattoos on the face and on the right hand and on their knees. His knees are sore. I've asked over many people, and many people in the comment channel actually do agree that it looks like bruises. So was he at the fight club in Linda Lane? Maybe that Tommy was on something, Tommy Jude. That guy is badly beaten. He's injured. His nose is sponged. You can see marks on his eyes. And the way John Jack Showalter was acting, very fishy. He left there upset because the girls left him. He has K-bar knives. How about that? So we have Dylan with large knives. We have him with K-bar knives. And guess what? Bethany Funk, Dylan Mortensen, John Jack Showalter have been to Boise High School together. So we have people who know each other from before. Jake, Maddie's boyfriend, is from Boise, Idaho too. And guess who else is from Boise, Idaho? Dylan's boyfriend, Quinn Kelly. You have 4 people from Boise, Idaho that know each other from before. And you have 2 people from the 4 people who seem to be taking pictures with knives and K-bar knives. There's Jack Showalter with rich parents that pay big donations to the university. and you have Dylan Mortensen, who apparently we're supposed to not say a word about. But Dylan, it's all right for you to take 8 hours not to call law enforcement. That should be a federal crime. Anyway, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a lovely Sunday. I really appreciate all your comments. I'm going to try and get back to them. It's just that I've been held up with a lot of work, but I am getting back to all of them. I really love my subscribers, family members. I really appreciate y'all for sticking with me all this time. Like the person in the comments said, I don't have the best advanced digital things to show y'all, or like to use advanced data technician, whatever it's called. But I'm in the process of getting myself someone, or maybe hiring someone to help me with it, because I still believe my content is good. And for me, when I do these things, it's not about to get subscribers. Everyone is happy to get subscribers and viewers. Just that y'all know, I don't get paid. I've never, since I started this channel, I've never even requested money from YouTube, although I'm entitled to sending. I haven't even put in my application and filled in my form. And I've had my channel for close to 2 years. I appreciate that I have a good job that pays me well. Thank God I have education to fall back on. I love my mental health. Anyone, my subscribers, family members who are struggling of any mental health illness, with confidentiality, if y'all need help, I'm here free to help y'all on my weekends if I can. But what I'm trying to say is money, subscribers, and viewers is not important for me. My important message that I'm trying to spread awareness about is not only getting justice for these students, but trying to understand how this happened so that it won't happen again. Trying to find out if this was just a person who had mental issues who did it, or a person full of rage who did it, or if there was a motive behind it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a lovely Sunday and a lovely week too. Justice for Kaylee, justice for Zano, justice for Ethan, and justice for Maddie. May they rest in peace. Condolence to the families. I hope the correct justice is served. And may Brian Christopher Koberger get a fair justice. He deserves that. Every human being deserves that. And may the 3 unidentified male DNAs be found too. Have a lovely day. Bye.